everybody. You're watching LasVegasBackstageTalk.com. I'm Tom Cotter, and I'm the secret lover of comedian Michele LaFong. And I'm her little puppet, if you know what I'm saying. Hello. Yeah, tune in whenever you can at LasVegasBackstageTalk.com and watch all the hilarity.
Sure,
It is.
Because
They
Pierce
need that.
hated comedians. Pierce was the judge before Howard Stern. Howard Stern replaced him. And Pierce, for whatever reason, just didn't like comedians. He had a stick up his butt or something. I don't know what his deal was. But Howard loves comedians. So now you have two allies. You have Howie, who's obviously a fan of stand-up, and now you've got Howard. So
Right.
And Sharon was
Sharon
just along
was
for the
loving
ride.
you.
Sharon
I
was
mean,
great.
you could hear her laughing in the clip.
Yeah, Sharon was great. They all three of them did not say one mean syllable or one negative syllable the entire year to me, and they were really nice to me. And after the camera stopped rolling, they were really nice to me, and I thanked them up and down and told them if I could ever help them with the charity event or anything, I would do it in a heartbeat. 'Cause
Awesome.
They kind of, they put my career from here to here, and which doesn't translate well on radio, but they elevated my career dramatically by doing this. And at this point in my career, pretty late in my career, it's wonderful. So.
Now, did you know Howard Stern prior to?
No, and
did
people
not.
asked about that. They wanted to know because we're both with Don Buchwald Agency.
That's what I was thinking.
Don Buchwald Agency is a big agency, though. There's
Right.
thousands of clients.
Of course.
And Don's client is Howard. It's the agency that Howard built. Howard is responsible for that agency. I am with, like three lieutenants down below him. I'm with a guy named Tony Burton, and I don't mean to besmirch you, Tony, but Don Buchwald is up here, and he's Howard's guy. I rarely see Don, let alone Howard. I met Howard for the very first time after my New York audition, after in front of everybody.
Really?
Yeah, and first of all, he's freakishly tall. He's like 6'6" before the afro.
Oh, is it? I
Yeah.
didn't even know that.
And you can't see on radio, but I'm a dwarf. I make cookies in a hollow tree. So that was freaky, But it was also neat because he is, who he is. But I had never met him before. And Howie said quite factually on the air that I had never met him. He didn't know who the hell I was. And Sharon didn't know who I was. So, there was no impropriety there. I think they were all kind of as described.
But Howard Stern, was he what you expected him to be? Surely you know Howard Stern.
No, here's an interesting thing about Howard is NBC rolled the dice with Howard because a lot of the hardcore religious right said, we're not going to watch the show anymore. And they were a huge audience for NBC. So they said, we don't like what Howard Stern stands for. We're not going to watch the show. We're boycotting it. So they left. And NBC said, I'm sorry, but good riddance. We want Howard's minions, which are also millions, to come aboard. And they're all the target demographic. They're 18 to 35-year-old males. And that's what Madison Avenue wants. So NBC said we're gonna take this chance, and sure enough, by episode 2, all the religious right came flying back. So they won on both counts. They got all the Howard's people, and they got all the religious right because by the second episode, he was hugging the little kid who he had just exed, and it was the kinder, gentler Howard Stern.
Right.
And I agreed with almost every single decision he made on that show. Before my New York audition, because it's New York, that's his hub, I watched two friends of mine who were a comedy team get booed off the stage.
Who?
Horribly. I don't know if I should say.
No, don't say it.
Don't say it. Yeah.
Don't say it.
They're identical twins, and they're friars, if that helps you.
Okay,
So,
I know who
all right,
it
yeah.
is, yes.
So they come out, and they're really funny guys, but for whatever
They are
reason,
funny.
Yeah, the audience is trained to either love or hate. There's no middle ground. So they train the audience. The audience warm-up guy trains them how to boo people off stage. And they tell them you're either going to give them a standing ovation or you're going to boo them off stage. I'm number 11 out of 12 acts in the final city on the final night. And these people are dead. They're tired. And I'm thinking they're Howard Stern's people. They're going to boo me off the stage. And I know that they just booed my friends off the stage. So I was terrified that they were going to, plus they're drinking in that venue in New York. They get to drink. So these people are hammered. So I'm like, oh, God, this is going to stink. So those two guys come off stage, and they just got horribly booed off stage, and they said, good luck with that, Cotter. And I'm like, oh, man, this is going to stink. And because, as much as you want to excel in the show can also hurt your career. If they throw you under the bus, you're...
Absolutely.
And things worked out that night in my favor, thank God. But, I mean, that's what I was nervous about. Howard Stern's people booing me off the stage that night, but they didn't. They were all right. So
For him.
Michelle, they walk you to the restroom. They won't let you alone. They make you. They have an escort walk you to the bathroom.
What's the point of that?
I think they try to mess with your head. I really believe that.
That's what he said.
And I concur with him on that, because I think it's almost, that's why people break down. That's why there's so many tears on the show, because you're sleep deprived.
Right.
They're messing with your head. This isn't just your job; it's your dream. I mean, these are entertainers that this is their brass ring, and so it's not like oh, you can't be a plumber this week. This is like, oh, you can't be a singer or you can't be a comedian.
Right.
You can't. So it really messes with your head, and they know that, and they manipulate you that way. And I don't think they're trying to make good TV. I don't besmirch them for this, but that's what they're doing. So you're tired, you're punchy, as you said. It's a great term. They're just so inside your brain. They pre-tape these rounds, and then they say, you can't be on radio shows that you normally do. I've been at this for a while. I'm on with people all the time. I'm not allowed to do them. When I do them, I have to have an NBC person on the line with me as a ninja. So they set up the conference call, and they're on the line with you, and then you're talking the whole time knowing that someone's in the background listening, and then when you hang up,
like you're a
they
hostage.
critique you. Yeah. And
they critique you.
Like some 23-year-old girl fresh out of college who could be my daughter, I'm pushing 50, is telling me what I can and can't say on a radio to a guy I've been on the radio with for 15, 20 years. But
how do you handle that?
I wanted to just kill her. I wanted to say, you're crazy. How are you telling me? But I didn't. I had to play ball because, it's their game.
It is very difficult to control yourself in that
it's
kind of circumstance, because it is maddening.
Yeah.
And so when they critique you, what was the most tough thing to listen to in their critique?
Them telling me that, well, first of all, they don't want you to say anything about the show or anything backstage, which, of course, I'm violating now, but the show's over, so suck it. But they don't want you to, they're so afraid that you're going to be a spoiler, and they don't want any, so it's all spoiler alert. Don't give them any kind of nibble that they can get on. And
about that.
They contacted him when the judges were Drew Carey, Anthony Clark, and Grace Under Fire.
Brett Butler.
They were the judges, the celebrity judges. They chose a certain group of the 10 to meet the 10 that went into the house on Last Comic Standing.
Right.
We're going from 20 to 10, so they had to cut it in half. And 2 of the people that made it into the house got booed off stage that night. One of them said a very foul word in her 2 minutes, and the crowd just shut off and couldn't accept it. And then another guy just bombed and did the whole, I better start this again, and came out and bombed again. And then, I better try that again, came out and bombed again. And they still moved him into the house, and the other comic into the house, who shall remain nameless. But 2 of the guys who got huge standing ovations didn't make it into the house. And so Drew and the other 2 judges stood up and walked out. They said, this is, why are we here? We chose 10 people to move into the house, and you chose a completely different 10 to go into the house. Now, we had a couple overlaps, but the 2 people that killed that night didn't make it into the house, and 2 people who bombed did, and they were furious.
Of course.
And they went to the press after that, and it was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly when it said, when is reality not reality? And it was a big to-do, and Drew went into this media thing about it. He said, why didn't you tell me that I wasn't really a judge, that I was just eye candy?
Right.
Because, we chose people, and you didn't take the people we chose. And then the executive producer at the time, who shall remain Peter Engel, said it's not up to it's not up to you. It said in fine print. If you read the fine print, the NBC executives get to make the final decisions of the show. And so people were just outraged. They were like, come on,
Now, does the show have any influence as to the set that you're performing at the Plaza?
You have to have them
How did I not know that?
Yeah, of course.
I watched your set and I knew that.
Yeah.
How did I know that?
Well, you have to be. The set has to be vetted, of course, through the standards and practices.
There was just a few jokes there that I said to myself, no way would you have chosen those jokes.
Well, they make you move stuff around. And the other thing is, I'm taking a set that when I do a college or something, that's a 5-minute chunk of my act, and I have to shrink that down to 90 seconds. So I'm picking from here and here and here and doing it a way I've never done it before, segueing from one line to another where I've never done those lines back to back before.
Isn't that hard?
Oh, it's brutal.
It is hard.
Brutal.
It's kind of like driving to the same area, but not the same street.
Yeah.
And so you're
That's
like
a
an
good analogy.
autopilot,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you find yourself at a building you're not supposed to be at.
Yeah, right. And I felt lost in my set sometimes. So, yeah, that's tough. You kind of have to work within their parameters.